Alright, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about severe weather potential in Texas tomorrow. And then we're going to be jumping into that winter storm for later this week, early mid this week into late next week, or this week, not next week, sorry. We're going to be diving into the significant winter weather side of things, and then we'll be also diving into the severe weather side. This is going to be a long one, so please tune in. If you like more of what you see here on the channel, you can stick around here, drop a sub, that'd be pretty appreciated by me. But here we go. Here's our day 1 hazard map. We have that storm in the northwest there. Day 2, significant threat of flash flooding is going to exist in areas like Texas there, and there's also going to be a severe weather threat along with it as well. Looking at day 3, this is when the potential for a significant winter storm threat really starts ramping up. Freezing rain is going to be possible across Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, into Oklahoma, Kansas, and Arkansas, northwest Arkansas. At first, it's going to be freezing rain, then we're going to get significant snow out of it. Let's go to the fronts map here. Around 12Z, we're going to start to see some storms start to fire along that stationary front, some of which may be strong. That stationary front turns into a warm front. This is a triple point that it turns into, and by day 2 to 0Z, severe weather will be possible across Texas there. Then 0Z Wednesday, this is when the stuff is going to start changing over to freezing rain and all that. 12Z Wednesday, very heavy snow is expected across anywhere from Michigan all the way into, well, not heavy snow, but storm is likely anywhere from Michigan all the way into Colorado and New Mexico. Sorry, I feel like I'm about to burp there. Then 12Z Thursday, snow is still likely from northeast Texas all the way up into the northeast. Snow is possible from Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, northern Indiana, west Arkansas, Texas, and Oklahoma. Friday, snow is possible and likely for the northeast. And Saturday and Sunday, not really too much is going to be happening. Just look at your QPF over the next 7 days, and very heavy precipitation is expected across Texas and all the way up into the Ohio River Valley. Excessive rain. Day 2, we have a slight, and day 3, there is nothing right now. Winter weather probabilities. Day 3, there is a 70 and higher chance for 4+ inches of snow in extreme eastern Illinois and extreme western Indiana, with a 40 to 70% chance anywhere from Michigan all the way into Kansas. Day 4, there is a high likelihood anywhere from Michigan all the way into Missouri there. This will likely shift north a bit with the day 3 as the models are starting to shift a little bit further to the north, nudging the highest area just a tad bit northward there. Not too much north, but just a tad bit. We'll probably see those go. Day 5, again, it's likely anywhere from Maine all the way into Ohio, possible for places like Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee. This is going to be snow, sleet, freezing rain, all that is possible. And there's day 6, and then there's 7. Okay. Here are the probabilities for places like Indiana, Illinois for snow above 6 inches. Places like Peoria, Illinois are going to be in that moderate range. And the Peoria Metro, that's going to be a 50 to like 70% chance there. Places like Bloomington, Normal are having a high chance, 70 to 80. And places like Springfield, Decatur, Champaign, you guys are all going to be having a very high likelihood of seeing 6 inches or higher. Here's the expected snowfall forecast for central Illinois. I probably will be getting up we'll have the other ones in the next coming days when they start coming out. But this is a low-end forecast due to the fact that we're still pretty far out with this, but a large swath of over 5 inches or over 3 inches of 2 to 3 inches of snow is expected, with amounts up to 7 being possible as well. Here's the high-end amounts, and these are likely more realistic, except I would add a few inches to these as well, especially the ones in here. You're probably going to get some intense snow bands that end up setting up, but this is pretty low and even for the high-end amount at this point. Now let's look at the Storm Prediction Center. Tomorrow there's a marginal risk for wind and hail. I do think there's going to be a tornado risk as well. It's just not the highest thing ever. Let's go look at the HRRR reflectivity first, take a gander at that. We're also just going to only really focus on southern Texas, so let me go very local. We start around 7, 8 a.m. We probably start to see some thunderstorms start to fire up. Some of these will probably be severe as well. Right around maybe 9 o'clock here, we start to see these really get going. And these could be severe, given the fact that we have a very solid hodograph at this point, and we have marginal instability. These could be severe thunderstorms. At this point, we'll have to watch that. As we move along, these thunderstorms get a little bit more organized, and this is when we start to see the severe thunderstorms happen. Right near Corpus Christi there, this is a solid hodograph favoring the potential for tornadoes, wind, and hail, given the fact that we have a very solid hail growth layer in here. The hodograph is pretty curved there in the low levels and all the way into the upper levels as well. If we go take a sounding like by Corpus Christi right here, we see very solid. If we take a sounding a little bit west of Corpus Christi, we have some more solid instability amounts. I do think you're gonna get a few storms over here. It's just how many. And we do end up seeing storms at one point. We have a supercell that ends up going on shore there. This is going to be contaminated, but I'm just going to look to see what the environment is in front of that supercell. Not very good. And then you can see all this stuff goes offshore by 2 a.m. Now let's look at a model like the ARW. Quickly dive through it. It again shows severe thunderstorms starting to pop up at 15Z. And they really start getting going right around that 22Z time frame there. Not as profound as the HRRR with the profiles there. They're not great profiles, but they will get the job done. Let's look at the NSSL. Again, this is going to be showing severe weather potential. It shows a relatively solid area of potential. This is not terrible. Let me go back to 19Z. That's not bad. I definitely think there's going to be a bit more instability than that. Right here. That's not great either. We're going to take a sounding kind of in the middle of that precip mess there. Solid wind profile. I do think the instability will probably be a little bit higher. You can see the supercells really get going in the Gulf, though. Here's the FV3 model there. We start to see it starts to get going around 19Z there. We see a solid hodograph, and then we start to see. This is why there's going to be very heavy rain, because these thunderstorms stay in the same spot. Again, pretty similar hodographs to the HRRR and the FV3, except the FV3 wants a little bit less instability. So I'll have to watch that here. Again, pretty solid stuff off the HRRR. And we cannot rule out very large hail, given if we have thermos end up showing up like the HRRR and RAP have, we're going to probably see some very large hail, given the hail growth layer, and also given the fact that there's 1,000 mixed layer cape. Like, that's pretty solid, but if like models like the ARW and FV3 show up with the thermals, you're not going to have as much of a significant event. Now let's get into the winter weather side of things. We're going to first start off with the RDPS and NAM. And maybe even NAM 3 kilometer might even be in range. We'll start off with the NAM 3 kilometer. So the NAM 3 kilometer wants a very heavy snow band to start up around, that's around midnight. So looks like we start to see some heavy rain break out across Illinois in the afternoon hours. It likely starts changing over to snow around 9 p.m. And then from there we start to see the very heavy snow really start to fall. We take a sounding there. Definitely favors snow given the surface temps and dew points being very moist, and there's not much dry air, so that's definitely going to be some heavy wet snow. And let's just go to the let's just click here and let's just see the totals, because I mean there's probably not gonna be very high yet. We already have totals of around an inch or two, and these bands really just started setting up, so that's interesting. Colorado gets smacked. But now let's go to the NAM model. So on the NAM model, it shows there's the first kind of low pressure system there. There's another low pressure right there. The first low pressure is in Canada, but it has a band of snow that breaks out. Right around 3Z, that's 9, it starts to break out. And then we just see constant snow after that for a long period of time start to really break out. If we look at the Couture method here, this is the end of the first band. We have a large swath of snow from Colorado all the way into Michigan, with areas of 11 inches in Illinois. We'll just zoom into the Midwest sector, and then we'll zoom it a little bit further. The Midwest sector, we have a couple bands that show around 12 inches there in Illinois, We have Missouri getting already 10 inches. This is a wide swath of 6+ inches of snow already starting to break out. Anywhere from Michigan all the way into Kansas there. Now let's look at the RDPS model. This model is a little bit further south than what I'm thinking is going to happen. I think this model is a bit too far south, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Given the ensembles and all those other trends, I think this is going to be the further south model. Again, let's just see how much snow there is. It's a little bit further south. The amounts more widespread too. It has Oklahoma getting a little bit too much snow at that point. But we'll see. Maybe something like that could happen. Who knows? Oh, this is the FV3. I accidentally loaded that. Here's the GFS model. Let's just go look at here from here. So the GFS model, we start to see the snows maybe start at 0Z. We'll just take a look at if it will start or not. That may be snow. I'm not really too sure. At this point, the heavy snow really starts to break out. We have multiple bands of heavy snow, and at this point, we would probably be looking at a severe weather event in Louisiana, Mississippi, right here at this point too. And then we see here the snow really stops around 18Z with Illinois that run. We had a small little band, and then the Northeast gets their snow. So we'll stop it at I think this is 132. Yeah, we'll stop it at 132 here. And let's just look at the snow totals. Now, I would cut these in half. Well, I would cut like the higher end ones about 75% because I don't think you're going to see 30 inches. We could end up with a spot with 24 inches, a couple isolated spots to get it, but I don't think we're going to see anywhere with 3 feet. But there is a very large area. Anywhere in these red shades, that's going to be over a foot of snow. So we have over a foot of snow from Missouri and Kansas and Oklahoma all the way up into the Northeast. We have swaths of 2 feet of snow in those orange colors as well. In Missouri, Illinois, in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, I was about to say North Carolina, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And then looking at these freezing rain amounts, these are very significant amounts as well. We have anywhere from a half inch to maybe 2 inches, but I don't think you're going to see 2 inches. Excuse me, anywhere from around a half inch, or not a half inch, anywhere from probably a quarter to a half inch is probably the most amount of ice you're going to get, unless we get like absurd confidence. Now we're going to go back and dive down into the severe risk as well, or maybe I think I might have put one down there earlier. No, I didn't. So let's go right back and dive down into the severe risk here. And we'll dive down into the severe risk for all models right now, so we don't have to like take a look later off of it. So we'll go to 18Z. This is when the peak of it's gonna happen. The new GFS is not as good as the 12Z with the moisture. I think it's probably underdoing it again. If we go to portions of Louisiana right here, we see a very solid hodograph shuts up with solid temperature too, and a very strong cloud base up here. The hodograph is a square hodograph, which is what you usually want for like QLCS type tornadoes. Like we're probably gonna be having this is probably gonna be a linear event. Maybe we get a couple of renegades out ahead, but I don't think so. We have surface cape of 1,000 with mixed layer of 800. And hail is not going to be much of a threat with this event, given the fact that your hail growth layer is basically nothing. There are some decently strong lapse rates, so we can't rule out a couple isolated hailstones, but hail is definitely not going to be a major threat with this. Major threats with this are going to be a few tornadoes and isolated damaging wind gusts as well. We have decent 4-kilometer shear, around 40 knots or so, along with some stronger lower level shear as well. Here's kind of what the precip array is doing with the GFS. Here's your low level jet. It's pretty solid. We go take a sounding in Mississippi, you're going to see you're going to have a stronger low level jet, but you're not going to have as good thermodynamics. 500 millibar is not too bad either. 40 to 50 knots will definitely get the job done. Here's what the Euro has. Again, it has something similar to 500. It has something very similar 850 wise. Here's Louisiana there. It does not show the surface temperatures that the GFS has, and I think it's going to be I think it's underdoing the surface temperatures by a lot here. It barely shows low 70s breaking out. In the areas that does show upper 60s to low 70s breaking out, you have a pretty large photograph, especially within the lower levels with some marginal instability at best. I don't think you're going to see this low instability given the fact other models don't suggest this, but we have very large photographs that I'm setting up with 40 this 50 knot, 6 kilometer shear, and some very strong low level shear in the 30 to 40 knot range as well with large photographs. If we look at the precip rate again, here we go. We have looks like a broken line of storms there. I'm not going to call storm mode because you can't really do it with these low res models. Here are the dew points off the year. Again, I'll take a sounding. Not bad. Just not much instability. Here's the Mixler Cape, and we really don't have that much. Here's a graphic without the hodos. Very marginal off the Euro. I definitely think it's going to be a bit more than this. Most unstable Cape might be a little bit more realistic if I'm going to be honest with you. We have more values getting all the way up into Tennessee there. I don't think it's going to be that far north, but this is basically going to be showing you the thunderstorm area. So from anywhere like Tennessee all the way down in the Mississippi, Louisiana, that is where thunderstorms are going to be possible. We're going to look at the Canadian model next for the severe weather potential really quickly here. It shows it being pretty coastal there, Mississippi, with the main risk, and into Louisiana there. Again, solid photographs here with a lot of lower level flow and middle level flow off the Canadian model. Here's your dew points. Let's go northeast Louisiana there. Here's another sounding. Again, pretty solid. Again, this is a pretty well-rounded sounding with not too bad instability or very large photograph as well. Now, if we look at the 850 millibar wind shear, we have not as strong as the other models. It's 30 to 50 knots, but the Canadian generally underdoes it from what I've seen. And then we have not too bad 500 millibar flow as well. UK Met, it shows pretty solid 500 millibar flow across the board and pretty solid 850 flow across the board. We take a sounding here. We have solid amounts of SRH and shear. It's just the instability lacking again. Now, if we go to Louisiana there, it's a different story. We have solid instability and solid shear as well. And then if we go to extreme South Mississippi, you're going to have the same story again. Decent marginal instability, but solid wind shear as well. Now we're going to go back into the winter weather side of things. We're going to go look at the Euro now. The last time I told you guys the Euro was further south. It is now further north than the last few ones. The second system is a bit further south still, but not too far south. And I treaded north. And that's what we have. We could see another system next week. Maybe bring some storms to Florida in the southeast, and maybe bring a little snow to the Carolinas, but that's a bit uncertain at this point. We're gonna see how much snow this system brings. We're gonna stop it at hour 1. We'll stop it right here. So we have a foot of snow anywhere from Maine all the way into Oklahoma and Kansas, and I do think this is pretty realistic totals. There's a swath in Illinois from Champaign all the way near the Michigan-Indiana border, probably near Fort Wayne there, with with 2 feet of snow there. You're gonna get a swath of 2 feet of snow most likely with this system. It's just where will it happen? Will it happen further north up here? Will it happen further south down here, or will it happen further further west, or will it happen further north? It just depends on the banding and where everything sets up. But yeah, the Euro shows a pretty major winter storm here. Again, freezing rain. We're getting pretty high likelihood that we're gonna see a pretty major freezing rain event on the southern side of the system. It's just where. This model has anywhere from North Texas all the way into Maine, getting some pretty significant freezing rain amounts as well. So that's something to watch. Here is the Canadian model. This is one of the only models that is still very far south. It's even very far south with the first wave. It's a little bit too far south with that first wave. The second wave is even further south. This is one of the only models that is super far south like this. If we go look at these totals for snow, we'll go to what is this one? We'll go to like we'll go to 156. It has the Northeast getting hammered with those 24 plus inch amounts up there, and then we have a very large swath of 12 inches plus from Missouri all the way up into the Northeast in Canada. As the system further south, there's your freezing rain amounts. It goes a lot further into Dixie, and that means your severe weather is not going to be as prolific. And if that happens, due to the fact that you're going to have a little bit more cold air. But yeah, it has places like Kentucky getting really hit hard with this system as well. If we do zoom in there, places like Peoria, Illinois, they don't get as much snow. Only get around 5 inches or so. with the Canadian solution, and this is one of the only models that is still south. So that is interesting as well. Now, we see here anywhere probably from Kansas City, anywhere from like Kansas City, Missouri, all the way into like northern Ohio. You're pretty locked on getting at least 9 inches of snow based off the recent model runs, and probably over a foot is a good guarantee at this point too. But anywhere from probably Bloomington, Illinois, to like Fort Wayne, or to like to a little bit further north of Fort Wayne and like Toledo, Ohio, you're not so certain whether or not you're going to get the big time snow. Now, the Canadian model does not have Couture method for snow, and it doesn't have precip, but here's what it shows. The Canadian model wants the first round of snow to go further north, and it wants the second round of snow to go super far south. Or not the Canadian, the UK Met. And this is very unrealistic at this time. I do not think this will happen. I mean, the Euro showed this last night, but then it backed down after one run. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the second round is going to be so far south like the UK Met does show it to be. So we'll have to watch. It has places in northern Texas getting almost a foot of snow. That is very unrealistic at this point. Here is the National Weather Service blend of models. We go to hour 144. And we are at anywhere in those purples. We're at 6 inches of snow anywhere from Kansas and Oklahoma all the way into Maine, with a strong stripe of dark purples all the way from Illinois, Missouri, all the way up into the northeast there. This is where 7, 8, 9, 10 inches is likely, all the way up into a foot range. Freezing rain amounts. There's a very large swath of freezing rain off this model run, given the very strong uncertainties with the track. But anywhere in here has a realistic shot of seeing freezing rain with this event as well. Now let's hop onto the icon model here, and here's what it shows. Here's that band, where we start to see snow start to change over the snow, and then the icon with the second round is a little bit pretty far south as well, the second round, so that's going to be something interesting to watch as well. With the snow amounts, we see anywhere from, this is only 10 to 1, but we see, we see it being very far south, so I think this model is a little bit too far south, because places like northern Maine do not get any snow, which is pretty unlikely at this point. So we do have a couple, well, actually wait, no, that's the UK Met. The blend of models, has northern Maine getting smacked, so I would call the Icon and, UK Met an outlier at this point. I mean, the Southern Track isn't completely an outlier yet with the second system, but they have it way too far south. A model like the Canadian is a realistic showing of what that second track could look like. Now here are the Euro ensembles here. We see that precip, and we start to see that precip shield really break out. And it moves out of the area and into portions of the northeast at this point. Snow amounts. Here are the mean snow amounts, 10 to 1 ratio. A very wide range, anywhere in those pink colors right here are 9+ inches. So the mean has 9+ inches from Missouri all the way up into places like Maine, with a swath of over a foot for Illinois, all the way up into Michigan there, and Ohio, and Indiana also being included in like eastern Missouri. Here are the members for the snow. We're gonna go here are the ensemble members for the snow amounts. Let's go winter. Here's members 1 to 25 if it will load. Let's go further in, because you can barely see. Let's go continental United States, if we can find that. Okay, that is continental United States. We're gonna go down to the Midwest region. Great Lakes could work. So here are the ensemble forecast amounts. So I would say any ensembles that look like this, you can completely outline this one. There's not going to be that much of snow. I could say this one's an outlier as well. All the other ones I would say are somewhat realistic. Here are members 26 to 50. Again, most of these members have the northern track with this, which is very interesting. Now, here's the probabilities of snow exceeding an inch. It's 100% for most people. Here's 3 inches, 100%. 6 inches, it's... Now, for 6 inches, it's a little bit less uncertain. Anywhere from just north of St. Louis, Missouri, to places like Bloomington, Normal, Champaign, Illinois, all the way up to Detroit, Michigan, Toledo, Ohio, Fort Wayne, Indiana, maybe like a little bit north of Indianapolis, and maybe Indianapolis itself, and like Gary, Indiana, you guys are near the 90 to 100%. Yeah?